Well, good evening and welcome to the Salem Area Mass Transit District's Board of Directors meeting for April 23rd, 2015. Tonight we're going to have a presentation about the SCAT's Regional Transportation Plan and then have public comment. People wishing to speak on a topic will have a three-minute limit. We're then going to deal with the consent calendar, which contains only minutes from the March board meeting. We have three action items tonight. The first is approval of an application to the State of Oregon Department of Transportation for the 2015-17 Biennium Special Transportation Fund dollars. Second item will be awarding a eligibility and functional assessment contract. And third, we'll have authorize the general manager to deal with a new task order for the Century West engineering company to do engineering surveying and construction management of a bus stop improvement program. We have no information items tonight and we'll conclude with reports at the end of the evening. So we'll open the meeting. And first item, of course, is to note attendance, and we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. Director Marcia Kelly from Subdistrict 7 will lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Marcia. Announcements and changes to the agenda.
I do have one announcement.
Okay.
I'd ask Steve Dickey to make the announcement, please.
Well, President Thompson, members of the board, it's my pleasure this evening to introduce to you Brian McNatt. Brian is our new capital projects manager, and he joined us a week ago yesterday, and we're very pleased to have him on board. He comes to us from TriMet. For 8 years, he was a capital projects manager for TriMet. So, Brian, if you'd like to say a few things.
Hello. Thank you. Pleasure to be here, and look forward to the opportunity of presenting to you in the future. Any questions from you?
Go ahead. Go ahead, Kate.
I always like to ask, and so why did you want to work for Salem Keizer Transit?
I saw the posting for this position, and I felt it was a very good opportunity for myself in my career, stepping out from under the blanket of a larger agency and coming to Keizer to bring my skill set and experience and help with the great projects that the Chariots has underway and future plans of other transit agencies or transit centers and transit projects.
Thank you.
Others? Marcia?
So how long were you with TriMet?
I was there for 8 years.
So good schooling in transit.
Yes, indeed.
Other questions?
Thank you very much.
What did you do at TriMet?
I worked in the capital projects division. Started out in the light rail in the one of their 205 light rail projects as a field inspector and an engineer, and then moved into the capital projects department and engineered and managed many different projects for multiple departments for operations, facilities, capital projects, and for our safety department. Just mainly focused in there for the internal needs and continued many other larger projects that are underway at TriMet for PMLR, the Portland-Milwaukee Light Rail. I was a support engineer for them, and then also helped develop some of their state of good repair projects that are currently underway.
Other questions? Well, welcome aboard, and I think you're going to like it here, I hope.
So far, so
You've
good.
got a good family
Appreciate
here.
it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, next item, presentation. We're going to have a presentation by one of our Council of Government senior planners.
Yeah, I'd ask Steve Dickey to make the introduction.
Well, tonight it's our pleasure to invite Ray Jackson, Senior Planner with the Mid-Willamette Valley Council of Governments, to come and make a presentation to us on the Regional Transportation System Plan. Like many of the plans that we are responsible to produce, periodically these plans have to be updated, and the Council of Governments is responsible for this plan. And tonight, Ray is bringing an update and description of the process that they're going through at this time, and opportunities for you to also weigh in on the proposals that are being identified in the plan. So with that, I give you Ray Jackson.
Well, thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk with you tonight about our regional transportation plan. Oops. As Steve says, we have our regional transportation system plan. It's updated every 4 years. So I'm Ray Jackson. I'm with the Mid-Willamette Valley Council of Governments. We provide the staffing for the metropolitan planning organization that is responsible for the plan. So I'll give you a brief introduction into what is SCATS, then go into an overview of the Regional Transportation System Plan, or RTSP, what's new in this update from the previous updates, some outstanding issues that we're facing in the long run, and end with a short discussion about the air quality conformity determination document and the public comment period and next steps. So a little bit of background so we're all on the same page. SCATS, the Salem Keizer Area Transportation Study, is the metropolitan planning organization for the Salem Keizer area. An MPO is required by federal regulations for any urban area over 50,000 population. So SCATS, or the previous SATS, Salem Area Transportation Study, has been around for many decades. Our member jurisdictions include Salem, Keizer, and Turner, Marion and Polk counties, the Transit District, ODOT, and the school district. We facilitate the flow of federal transportation funds to the members' jurisdictions for their projects that are of regional significance. And we ensure a comprehensive, consistent, and coordinated transportation planning environment. We have a policy committee, which is legally the MPO, and that is made up of representatives, elected representatives from the member jurisdictions. Currently, Mr. Krebs is the Transit District's representative. We have other representatives from Salem and Keizer, et cetera. This board decides, the policy committee decides how the federal funds are spent based on the applications for projects by the member jurisdictions. They're advised by a technical advisory committee, which is staffed by the local jurisdictions of our member groups, plus the Department of Land Conservation and Development, Development of Environmental Quality, and Federal Highway Administration. So Steve is the Transit District representative on the TAC. They provide advice to the policy committee on projects and spending and all the useful things that they need to make decisions. And the staffing, the day-to-day work, is provided by staff employed by the Mid-Willamette Valley Council of Governments. And currently we have about 6 people working on the MPO-related functions. SCATS produces 2 main documents: the Regional Transportation System Plan, which is what I'll discuss tonight, and then a short-term funding document, the Transportation Improvement Program, or TIP, which shows what funding of transportation projects will be done in the next 4 years. We participate in planning studies of regional significance and do coordination efforts with our regional partners such as Chariots, Transit, and the cities and counties. What we do not do is own, operate, or maintain any facilities. We are purely a planning organization. So our main document is the RTSP, the Regional Transportation Systems Plan. This provides a 20-year look into the needs of the region regarding transportation. It's based on the transportation system plans and planning studies of the member jurisdictions, so Salem's TSP, Keizer's TSP, the Marion County planning studies by Transit and ODOT. We identified the transportation needs and recommended solutions to provide mobility, safety issue, address safety issues, bottlenecks, et cetera, for the next 20 years. One unique feature of the RTSP is we are financially constrained. The TSPs for the local jurisdictions tend not to be financially constrained. They're more a wish list. Due to federal regulations, we need to balance the revenue that we reasonably anticipate in the next 20 years with the cost of the projects. Since 1996, the RTSP has addressed all modes, bike, transit, road projects, etc. Our federal funds can be used on the road and transit and bike projects. We include rail, aviation, and pipeline for comprehensiveness of the transportation system, but currently the federal funds that SCATS receives cannot or haven't been used in those modes. And as Steve mentioned, this is a continuous update, so every 4 years at a minimum, we update this plan. There's an associated document, Air Quality Conformity Determination, which just shows how the projects in the plan can meet the federal and state air quality regulations. This is just a brief overview of the planning since the early 90s. In the blue boxes, are the federal surface transportation acts that come from the feds, and they provide us an idea of how much money will be distributed from the Highway Trust Fund over the next usually 6 years, except recently, and which rules and regulations we need to follow to use those funds. The off orange red dots are when we've updated the RTSP. The tip cycles are every 2 years, and so we're just trying to show this is a continuous process. This update will be adopted hopefully in May of this year. The next update will be in 2019, barring any need to update earlier. So the plan has, of course, a goal. And our goal is to provide a regional transportation system that meets the accessibility needs for the next 20 years. It's multimodal and comprehensive. It's preserved and maintained in good repair and protects the investments that we've made in the previous or those infrastructure. It's designed with the safety of everyone in mind. It's equitable and efficient for all users to use. It minimizes the impact to the natural and built environments. It can be developed and maintained with the funds that we reasonably anticipate to be available in the next 20 years. And as a result of an open and continuous dialogue between the stakeholders and the public in the area. From those goals, we have 6 objectives, 6 big that will distill from the goals that we try to map. So the efficiency, reduce impacts, et cetera. And we started in the last RTSP, so the one that we are updating from, is to produce these objectives and from them create some indicators so we can track progress of how well the projects are meeting those goals as we go forward. This was anticipation of the federal regulations that will be promulgated later this year. So we have an objective for safe and secure system to minimize the number of fatalities, injuries, and collisions on the regional system. One of our indicators is tracking the number of collisions by mode by year. And then we have a number of other indicators that are available in the RTSP, which I believe Steve sent a link to, but if not, it's coming later. As part of the planning process, we are required to use the most up-to-date comprehensive plans for the local jurisdictions. As part of this process, we also produce population employment forecasts for the area in consultation with our local jurisdictions. Our horizon year is 2035, which is the same as our current plan. But due to the recession, our numbers haven't changed a lot. They've just shifted the rise a little bit out a couple years. Because we're financially constrained, we spend quite a bit of time in the plan discussing the financial situation and where the money is coming from. We use a couple terms that are somewhat unique for us, and so to spend a little bit, so when you read the plan, you can be up to date on them. So we consider projects to be committed, or money to be committed, if money is available and identified and ready, and the project will be built within the next 5 years. So these are projects that are currently in the TIP or a local jurisdiction's capital improvement program, and they'll likely begin in 5 years. Included is monies reasonably anticipated within the next 20 years. Based on the past funding that the jurisdiction has received, we forecast that out 20 years, and assuming that we reasonably assume that they can keep that in the next 20 years. That's money that they're allocated. So, for example, Salem and their general obligation bonds, they've had a good history of being able to go out for a vote, receive money in the $80 to $100 million range. So it's reasonable to anticipate in the future that they could go out again and receive roughly the same amount every 10 years. These projects are the priority of the local jurisdictions to be built within the next 5 to 20 years. Illustrative are projects that money has not been identified, they're not in the plan, some of them aren't even completely fleshed out, but they've been identified in the general need of the regional system, but all the I's haven't been dotted and the T's haven't been crossed. So just our identified needs come from a variety of sources, from mainly the TSPs and planning studies of the local jurisdictions. Of that larger universe of needs, we have a smaller subset that can be financially constrained. And for this plan, I'm going to skip ahead one. For this plan, we have roughly $376 million in capital projects over the next 20 years. The majority of them, 75% or so, are what we consider road or bridge related. The 25% remaining is divided amongst bike ped, transit capital, ITS signal, and other. There are also operating and maintaining the current system is very important, and we discussed that in the plan as well. Most of the cities are using the majority of their state gas tax for operation and maintenance and not for capital. SCATS receives roughly $3 to $5 million a year in federal funds over the course of the plan. And so we're allocating roughly $45 million for what we call regional programs, such as rideshare, the Traffic Signal Control Center, TDM. These are programs that are of regional importance. They benefit the entire region, and so SCATS provides some money to that. We've also, after talking with Chariot staff. It will be roughly $594 million over the next 20 years to operate Chariots as is today, or September 1st. And as I mentioned, there's roughly $376 million in capital projects over the next year, not including $81 million to renew the transit fleet. So the next number of slides are just some maps of locations. We have, some projects have nice graphics, which the public loves, and unfortunately a lot of projects do not have them. So as you go forward, last time you had the Keizer Transit Center, nice graphic, it was very good for our documents. Please do it again. So there are maps in the RTSP and the printed document that these are taken from. So realize it's pretty much impossible to read the project numbers from here, but this is just to give you an idea of, for different areas in the Salem Keizer area, which types of projects are going in and where they're located. So for example, in downtown Salem, there are a number of projects for the signal at commercial at Union to support the Union Street Bikeway, or to deal with some bridges that need to be replaced. In West Salem, there are a number of projects, say along Dokes Ferry, the Dokes Ferry realignment, and some pedestrian signals along Wallace. In Keizer, the projects are an extension of Verda from Lock Haven to River Road, some realignment of various intersections on River Road at Wheatland and Verda. In East Salem, or what I call East Salem, there's a number of projects for making more complete streets, so adding sidewalks, bikeways, or bike lanes, curbs and gutters to streets that don't currently provide them, as well as a number of ITS projects to help signals be coordinated. In South Salem, there's of course the South Salem Transit Center, some projects along Kubler, a number of other ITS related projects. In the plan, we also look at how these projects impact the environmental resources in there, as well as the cultural and historic. We also look at congestion on the roads and how these projects will help mitigate them in the future. We have a number, of course, in any planning process, we have a number of outstanding issues. These are issues where there's no political consensus for moving forward. The projects are still undefined. The planning process has yet to go forward. Chief among them, of course, is you are well aware, is funding, not just on operations and maintenance, but on capital projects, and how to address that from either a state, federal, or local level is something that's a continuous discussion. There's changing regulations, of course, mainly from the federal point of view. Every time they come out with a new federal Surface Transportation Act, they include a few more rules and regulations that need to be addressed as we go forward. And of course, building consensus as we go forward. Finally, with the RTSP update, we have another document called the Air Quality Conformity Determination. And currently, this is just a short document that provides how we meet the Federal Clean Air Act and the associated state regulations. This really isn't pertinent to transit so much. And currently, it's a very short document, since we are now a maintenance area for ozone and CO, carbon monoxide, which means we are not required to do a lot of modeling to show that the projects are not being impactful. So we are doing a public comment period. We're 2 or 3 weeks into it. We have two weeks left to go. We've been doing outreaches at various events, We will have a public hearing on May 26th at noon. This is the SCATS Policy Committee meeting where they will hear testimony of everything we've, all the comments received during the comment period, and then vote on whether or not to adopt the RTSP as written. You can download a brochure with maps. I believe Steve sent out the project list and map in your packet. If you want one that you can read more easily, we have PDFs available. We also have a interactive GIS online, so you can see the projects in a little bit more detail. And the printed document is available in the libraries of Salem and Keizer. So with that, I welcome any questions or comments you have.
Questions? John?
We've been provided a schedule with a number of different color codes and so on. Is there any way we can identify any kind of time frame on these, or will we just have to wait for the tips to come out?
The color code, so you're looking at a project list that has...
Yes.
Yes, so in that list there'll be, you'll notice that it will say like transit committed, transit included.
Okay.
And so the transit committed will be projects that will be built in the next 5 years.
Okay.
I can't tell you precisely which year. Well, I should be able to.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, there we go.
Yes,
now I get
the included
committed
ones
and-
are years 5 through 20.
Right.
If there's one that you're particularly interested in, just send me an email. We do have anticipated day a year of construction,
Okay.
but those are subject to change.
Yeah. Yeah, the committed one is the next 5 years anticipated.
Correct.
That's the one that I have the most interest in. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Other questions, Steve?
Yeah, are you aware of the specific crossings for West Salem? Because that map was awfully small.
For the pedestrian?
Yeah, pedestrian.
And
Is there
I-
something in our packet that can be
I don't
blown up?
believe the packet goes into detail, and I'm not
Okay.
sure ODOT has provided me specific locations, but I can provide that
Yeah, that committed one,
back to you.
next 5 years.
Yeah, okay. Okay. I can see the timing for it.
Yes, those will be soon.
Okay.
They're on the next 5 years, but as for the particular locations, I need to.
Does the West Salem Neighborhood Association get information from you? Okay.
Yes, they're on our mailing list. We have our mailing list of 200 plus organizations and individuals.
Okay, super.
Marcia?
Yes, Marcia.
And then besides facilities being built, this needs to include transit buses purchased as well.
Correct. It includes, transit bus purchases are included in 2 ways. We, in the financial plan, anticipate transit purchasing 81 million over the next 20 years. We also have money that we're, from the SCATS federal funds that we would transfer to transit to help to assist in these purchases. So those are capital purchases that aren't in the document that you have
But
in the list.
those funds would just be federal dollars towards it. That's not the local match.
We assume that the local we have the local match. So we have transit. We work with Steve and his group to determine how much money transit will have over the next 20 years, including the local match for any SCATS, any federal funds coming through SCATS or bus purchases or a transit center.
Because we need to come up with a local match, because we can't use the SCATS money, because you can't match federal
Right,
funds with
so
federal.
when you buy a bus, it's in their We have local funds for transit, et cetera, the various forms of non-federal funds that transit receives.
Any other questions? Bob probably has a lot of them. He doesn't know anything about this
Well,
organization.
I've sat through this presentation a couple, or similar, so, but it's pretty well thought out, and they've done a good job, I
I can
think.
tell, I can tell. Well, thank you, Ray. Appreciate you coming.
Thank you.
Okay, next is the public comment. Do we have anybody signed up, Linda?
No.
No one signed up? Anyone in the audience wish to speak? There is a 3-minute limit if you wish to do that. Seeing no one standing up, we'll move right along. We'll look at the consent calendar, which has regular meeting minutes of March 26th, 2015. Do I have a motion?
I move we adopt the consent calendar.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
I just saw a correction for the minutes.
Oh, okay.
Let's see, on page 8, the Keizer luncheon wasn't, the topic wasn't Salem Keizer Transit. It was about health in the community and just dovetailed nicely with things that we're doing. But
Okay, you got that, Linda? Any other corrections or changes to the minutes? We don't need an amendment to do that, do we, Ben? We can just pass them as amended?
Just note it.
Okay, it's noted, and we'll pass them as amended. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Action items tonight. Approval of the application for the 2015 Special Transportation Funds.
I'll ask Steve Dickey to, excuse me, make the introduction.
President Thompson, members of the board, as you are aware, part of the role of the board is to also function as the STF agency. And in that role, your responsibility is to approve the funding and allocation of funding that we receive on a biennial basis. This evening, we have Tanya DeHart, who is the vice chair of the STF Advisory Committee, and she will be making the presentation of the report and presenting the application that will be submitted to ODOT for the special transportation funds that we are allocated. So, Tanya.
Welcome, Tanya.
Hi, good evening. I'd like to, to draw your attention to the memo in your packets. The title is, the subject line is Approval of Application for 2015-2017 Biennium Special Transportation Fund Dollars to the Oregon Department of Transportation. As I understand it, Ted Stonecliffe went through the proposal in some detail with the board in a work session. Is that accurate? So I'll just kind of hit on some of the high points of the memo. Essentially, there was a special group made up of 7 different individuals, 4 of whom are members of the STF Advisory Committee, myself being one of those, 2 members of the public, and then a representative from the Council of Governments here. So the group met for the better part of a day. We reviewed all the applications that were submitted and then also heard presentations from the applicants. We're able to ask questions. So the memo in your packet, the second page of the memo, the table 1, outlines the recommendations that the group felt were appropriate to send forward to this board for final approval, and then hopefully sent on to the Oregon Department of Transportation. Essentially, there were a little over $2.4 million available, and as you'll see, all of the projects were funded. We were able to fund all of the projects that were proposed. Were there any questions? You have a question?
Just one.
Mhm.
The first one was the Salem Hospital Foundation Full-Time Transportation Coordinator.
Mhm.
What would they be doing?
And that was a question that was asked. And actually, they were asked to come back from the initial meeting because there were a lot of questions about the level of involvement they had had with the travel training program and what exactly that they would be doing. And ultimately, they're proposing to hire a full-time transportation coach, coordinator, I'm not sure the verbiage that they were landed on for 1 year as a pilot program, and then hopefully either be able to seek out other grants as far as sustainability. But in terms of what they're going to be doing, my understanding was educating their own staff within the hospital of the available transportation within the community, and helping to make those connections in transportation. As I understood it, Salem Hospital Foundation was being tapped quite frequently to pay for taxi vouchers from people needing to leave the hospital. And so they really felt as though there was a better way to do that than continually using foundation resources. So the thought was to try this out to see if there was value in educating consumers on how to use the existing resources in the community. So I don't know if Steve had anything to add.
I can add that this was originally a higher request for the request originally was for $100,000 for a 2-year period. The group did want to take an evaluation of how previous efforts with our own mobility management and coordination had been integrated into what they were doing. There clearly is a need. Some of the challenges that they face is at the point of discharge is connecting the patient with the most appropriate source of transportation. And sometimes the challenge is, especially in discharge situations, is the individual coordinating the discharge may not be aware that you can't just call chairlift and get a ride right then. So there has been a number of times when there's been frustration where the discharge nurse has contacted TripLink. TripLink is explaining the criteria for arranging a chairlift ride. They get frustrated because they have somebody who needs to go, but they don't know what the rest of the resources are. So the purpose of this is to coordinate with us and with our staff, but also to coordinate and educate their staff with the resources that are available at the time. Another challenge is middle of the night. They shouldn't be trying to call TripLink in the middle of the night to coordinate a ride, but if they don't know anything different, they may have been on an earlier shift and be working a night shift out of the ordinary and may not be aware of what's available. So this position is to prepare their staff to be better equipped to handle the transportation needs and hopefully put some things in place then that will carry forward from there and not necessarily require maybe the full-time position to be continued, but set up programs that would enable that to continue on its own.
Other questions? There's also, usually there's a couple of additional series of funds that come from ODOT that might be able to fund the second year if the STF committee decides that that's what they want to do, and Salem Hospital at Rask requests it. So, other, Marcia?
I will just point out that sometime in the future, it might be nice if we could ask for a little bit more money for administration of this program. It's been $2,000 to administer the program since I came on the board. So
That's $2,000 a year, though.
yes,
Yes.
but it might be something that at some point the OTA might want to take up as a little bit of a cause, because a lot of people have not been sitting there for 25 years, 26 years with no increase in the administration.
Yeah, it was nice this year that we had enough money to cover pretty much all the requests, which is not the usual, so it's very helpful to have it this time.
I'm just pointing out that I'm sure that it takes a lot more money than $2,000 in order to do this, and so.
You're right. Okay, any other questions? Thank you, Tanya. That was very, very, very succinct and very, very good. Thank you. Okay, I'll take a motion if anyone wants to do that.
I move to approve the 2015-17 biennium application for the Special Transportation Fund allocation as shown as attachment C, and direct the general manager to submit the application on April 24th, 2015 to the ODOT Rail and Public Transit Division for consideration.
Second.
So you're going to walk it over.
I'm gonna do it tomorrow. This is kind of beginning to habit for me here, doing it the next day, huh? Okay, it's moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Okay, next item is the eligibility and functional assessment. Thanks, Tanya.
Melissa Kidd, our mobility coordinator, will make the staff report.
Hello.
Hello.
Let me know if I get too loud. Hello, President Thompson and members of the board. I'm excited to be presenting to you tonight on the initiative of the ADA eligibility. This is the third step of the application process that we will be fully implementing with the new ADA eligibility consultant. The issue before you today is to enter into an agreement with Medical Transportation Management, Inc., MTM, to perform functional cognitive assessments and determinations for Cherry Lift eligibility. As you know, Cherry Lift is the complimentary paratransit service required under the ADA. This origin to destination curb-to-curb transportation service is designed for those whose functional limitations prevent their use of the Chariot fixed route system. Customers must submit an application packet and meet qualification standards to use the Cherry Lift service. Eligible customers may reserve their trip up to 2 weeks in advance by calling the TripLink call center. In fiscal year 2012-13, Cherry Lift provided 164,608 rides, and in fiscal year 2013-14, 159,985 rides were provided. Since 2006, Cherry Lift eligibility determinations have been conducted by Salem Keizer Transit staff. The process has been budgeted at 1 FTE. Individuals submit an application in person or via mail. Applications can be downloaded and printed from the Chariot's website or mailed to the individual. Completed applications and a medical professional questionnaire are required for all eligibility determinations. Functional assessments and in-person interviews are currently not required. During the 2014 calendar year, 15% of the Cherry Lift applicants were determined to be temporary, 75% were unconditional, and 10% conditionally eligible. There were 0 denials. On the memo, you will find the ADA types and numbers for the year 2012 and 2013. In the year 2014, there were a total of 943 new and recertification applications processed. At the February 28, 2013 meeting, the board adopted an updated version of the district's paratransit plan. The plan included the following 3 changes: elimination of the temporary 21-day approval, elimination of free rides on Chariot's fixed route, and conducting in-person interviews for 100% of new and recertification applicants. Am I doing okay on the microphone? Okay, good. At the time of adoption, the first 2 changes were immediately implemented. The RFP for eligibility and functional assessments for ADA paratransit was released on February 3rd, 2015. 4 respondents submitted clarifying questions to the district, and the answers were posted on the 24th of February. The RFP closed on March 9th. One proposal was received and deemed responsive. The proposal was submitted by Medical Transportation Management, Inc., MTM. The evaluation committee was comprised of Sue Dreyer, Sue Ann Coffin, Charlie Clark, Lisa Kerrigan, and Melissa Kidd. A phone interview was conducted with MTM staff on the 25th of March. Procurement staff contacted the non-responding interested proposers to determine why a proposal was not offered. According to the terms of the RFP, MTM will manage all aspects of the chairlift eligibility process, including an application portal through the Chariot's website that is submitted online, in-person interviews for new and recertification applicants, functional assessments that will be conducted in an outdoor transit environment at either Courthouse Square or Keizer Station. MTM will use evaluative tools such as FACS, functional assessment of cognitive transit skills, and mobility assessment evaluation forms in the functional assessments. A decision tree will be implemented for determining when functional assessments are recommended. MTM will be provided a license to route match to update client eligibility and information. If conditional eligibility is determined, MTM staff will place all pertinent ride qualifiers into route match. The MTM contract ensures all completed applications will be processed within 21 calendar days as defined by the ADA guidelines. The MTM staff will also administer all mailings for recertifications and determination letters, as well as field all telephone calls to the chairlift eligibility telephone line. Trip reservations will still go through the TrimpLink call center. MTM will compile and submit reports to the district with appropriate documentation. The district will provide an operating facility or office for MTM's project manager and administrative staff to be housed at Courthouse Square. An eligibility appeals committee will be established and managed by the contracted transportation manager, Sue Ann Coffin. She will ensure that all criteria specifications are met by MTM, including the schedule of deliverables established in the contract. The district has the ability to establish liquidated damages for unmet schedule of deliverables. The staff proposes to contract for the above outlined services with MTM for a fixed 2-year period with 3 optional 1-year renewals for a total not to exceed amount of $550,827 as submitted by MTM in their best and final offer on April 7th, 2015. As you can see, the exact figures are included for each year in the board memo. MTM's experience and reputation in the eligibility determination and assessment service is highly regarded. Currently, MTM holds contracts with Capital Area Transit, Mountain Metropolitan Transit, Kansas City Area Transportation Authority, and TriMet, who recently renewed a 5-year contract. Staff is confident this new process of eligibility determinations will provide thorough evaluations and seamless eligibility determinations for our customers, as well as meet the guidelines of the ADA and FTA mandates. Staff recommends the board authorize the general manager to enter into a 2-year agreement with Medical Transportation Management, Inc., MTM, to provide eligibility and functional assessments for ADA paratransit determinations for a total cost of $210,937. Thank you for your time and consideration. May I answer any questions?
Marcia?
You say that the contract would have all applications processed within 21 calendar days. According to the ADA guidelines, do we have an idea about how long it's taking us to process applications currently? 7 days. Okay, so we would hope that they would process them as timely as we have, but they have up to 21.
Once all three parts of the Once all three parts of the application are received, the application, the medical questionnaire, and the interview, then the 21 days start for the determination.
And we've been able to do it in about 7 days. So,
Yes.
yeah. It's just that having to wait is hard on people if they're,
And generally, the wait is only if we need more information from a doctor to help with the determination, or they have to go the next step to a functional assessment.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Steve?
The functional assessment is done on site. What if they're not capable of doing that? What if they're so in need that they're like a wheelchair?
But that helps us know that how they would need assistance from the driver, if they can operate their power chair themselves,
Okay.
what kind of assistance they may need to get on a lift. And so all of that is part of the functional determination about their independence. and
When they're
ability.
evaluated, will we pick them up?
Yes, we'll take them to the
To the
interview
evaluation.
and to the evaluation, yes.
Okay. I think that would be really important to know.
Mhm. That
Thank
is
you.
our responsibility, is to make sure they get to the interview and to the assessment.
Great.
Others? Brett?
I was just curious why, what staff found out about why no one else proposed.
Could you repeat the question?
Yeah, I was just curious what staff found out about why no one else proposed.
The procurement staff actually contacted via email the people who had submitted questions, clarifying questions, and then didn't submit a proposal. And there were two answers. One was they were not able to have on-site staff to conduct in-person interviews. One place wanted to do it all online. And the other answer that we received was the contract was not big enough.
Thanks.
Anyone else? Well, thank you, Melissa.
Thank you.
Good job. Good job for your first.
Thank you.
Oh, one more.
Now, I'm trying to remember, can there be an attendant with someone on chairlift?
Yes, they can have an attendant who rides with them free.
So that's where something would come in if they
Needed more assistance
Yeah.
on their ride, yes, that's
Yes.
why ADA allows for that.
And that would be annotated in their records.
Yes, it would.
Yeah, and the attendant is free of charge, correct?
Okay, again, thank you, Melissa.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm ready for a motion. How about you? John?
Sure. I move the board to authorize the general manager to enter into a 2-year agreement with MTM to provide eligibility and functional assessments for ADA paratransit determinations for a total cost of $210,937.
Second.
It's moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Pose same sign. Motion carries. Next item is the authorization of new task order.
I'll ask Steve Dickey to please come back up and present the report.
President Thompson, members of the board, this evening we'll bring to you a recommendation for a change in task order and an amendment to a contract with Century West Incorporated. As you remember, last year As a part of the bus stop improvement program, we awarded a contract to Century West Incorporated to provide engineering and design services for our bus stop improvement project. They have started to work on that project with us, and they've begun designing some of the stops and are working with us diligently to get that project moving, and hope to see construction commence very soon. We're getting ready to let the bid. In February at the board meeting, we also approved another project, and that was the Moving Forward Phase 1 project. And as you recall, Moving Forward Phase 1 changes the configuration of our route, which our routes, which involve, in some locations, the need for the placement of new stops. Some of these stops, much like the need for the existing service and stops that we have right now, are in need of changes to enable to make them accessible by creating connections from a curb to a sidewalk when there is a grass strip, or by extending beyond the sidewalk so that we had an adequate depth to our landing pad for ADA access. So our contract that we originally awarded to Century West was for work on the bus stop improvement project, and it was originally awarded for 49 stops, and they are working on this at this time. Based on that contract, we do not have enough capacity in that contract for them to begin the work on the number of new stops that we have coming online in September with Moving Forward Phase 1. We are adding about 120 new stops. We are also eliminating some stops with service that is changing throughout the system. But the net result is an increase of $178,400 in engineering and design work that will need to take place above and beyond the existing contract. So we are asking that the board would approve a new task order in the amount of not to exceed $180,000 plus an 11.1% contingency of $20,000. So staff recommends the board authorize the general manager to authorize a new task order with Century West Incorporated under bus stop improvement project contract in the amount of $180,000 plus an 11.1% contingency of $20,000 for bus stop improvement design, engineering, land surveying, and construction management support. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
I have one right off the top. What are these tiers? Would you explain the tiers?
The tiers are designed are levels of complexity of the improvement. So a tier 1 is what we call simple flat work, where you're doing concrete bridging the curb to the sidewalk. There's not elevation changes. There's not a lot of complexity to it. It's what we call simple work. A tier 2 is a simple remove and replace of shelters that are in the field at this time. Tier 3 is a need for a new pad for a shelter. We're going to add a new shelter in a particular location or a new stop, and that would require additional amounts of concrete work and a potential for some elevation changes. In some locations in the city, there's an elevation change between the sidewalk and the curb, and we have limitations on what's called the cross slope of the approach, of how steep, in essence, that ramp can be or that connection can be between the two. If those are off by too much, then there's additional engineering that we either have to raise or lower a little bit of the sidewalk in order to not exceed that slope. And so those are a little bit more complex. And then our tier 4 improvements are areas where we have a significant amount. So let's say the sidewalk is immediately adjacent to a fairly steep incline. So now we have to dig into the soil, construct a retaining wall, and make sure that the engineering that is designed into that doesn't allow the soil to push forward. Or we have actually a couple of locations where there's a sidewalk and then there's a fairly steep drop, and we need to construct not only the level platform, but also the necessary railings and designs so that people don't step off of that platform that we've constructed as well. So those are the different tiers, and we have currently approval from the Federal Transit Administration on our evaluation of the sites for tiers 1 through 3 on our projects. We have to submit full engineered drawings to FTA for the tier 4 level improvements before they will give us the go-ahead on those. And so that is some of the work that Century West is doing for us at this time, is creating those drawings for us.
Okay, Steve?
Do you have an estimate of how many sites we're talking about?
The new sites, there's approximately 120 new sites,
Okay.
yes.
New sites.
New sites that are associated with the Moving Forward Phase 1.
Okay.
Our full project, we are looking at making improvements at about 300 sites in our original bus stop improvement program of various tiers.
Yeah, offhand, do you know what the total package number is on those 300 sites?
I don't off the top of my head, because some of those some of it is dependent upon the tier level.
Sure.
And so we have, they're doing some work on a significant level. We also did one package in-house initially to do, we have staff on that are licensed engineers, that we did our first package to do an assessment of, number one, is that feasible for our staff to be able to do that just from the time demand? And two, submitting that to the city, going through their approval process, getting that firsthand feedback, so that when we began working with a consultant, we could provide very clear direction to them on what was expected. Because with a consultant, well, even with in-house staff, if you have to go back and do it again, that's not free. And
Right.
so we wanted to make sure that that was very clear. So our first package, actually, that we're getting ready to let, has already gone through that approval process, but those we did in-house. The next batch is nearly done, and we'll have those ready to go. That will put us about a third of the way through that group, and then we'll be able to look at the rest. Some of them are going to actually require much less attention, and we also have differing levels of requirements in the different jurisdictions. City of Salem is requiring right now the highest level of document preparation. City of Keizer is a little less stringent and are able to work with us on design standards and general drawings, rather than having individual full engineered drawings submitted for each site.
Thank you.
So that can significantly impact the cost of the proposal.
Brad?
Yeah, so looking at the letter from Century West versus the staff report, the amounts are different. I'm just curious if maybe is the staff report amount of 180 plus contingency, is that what's additional, and is the 200 and...
Yes, what you're looking at is the staff report is based on the difference between the original contract and what we need in addition to make up the difference with the moving forward. So we had some capacity in our original contract. And then the 180 that we're requesting is to make up the difference. So what you're seeing here from them is their full proposal, and then the amount we're requesting is the difference between the original contract and what we need additionally to cover the work.
Okay, thanks.
Yes.
Anyone else? Okay, how about a motion?
I move that the board authorize the general manager to authorize a new task order with Century West, Inc. under the bus stop improvement project contract in the amount of $180,000 plus an additional 11.1% contingency, $20,000 for bus stop improvement design, engineering, land surveying, and construction management support.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Thanks, Steve. Okay, no information items tonight. We go into reports and start with the COG, Council of Government, Willamette Valley Council of Governments. We had no meeting this month. STF Advisory Fund Committee, we already saw what they came up with for the last month's meeting. Unless, John, you want to say anything about
No, there are still vacancies on the STF
Yes, there
committee.
are.
So if you know of anybody or have a drum you can beat to get them out of the bushes, we'd be glad to hear.
And they're mostly in West Salem, or in Polk County.
Polk County?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the announcement's on the website? Or where?
I don't know if it is or not. Joe Allen.
I'm not aware of any announcement.
Steve?
If you have the announcement email, I can forward it. Okay. Linda, can you send it to me so I can forward it? 'Cause
Yeah, I'll take care of it.
Okay. Thank you.
Let's see, Mid-Willamette Valley Commission on Transportation, Marcia.
We did not have a meeting in April.
Scats, Bob.
SCATS meets next Tuesday.
OMPOC, Oregon Metropolitan Plan.
OMPOC had their last meeting on April 8th when we were doing transit at the Capitol, so I sort of intermingled with some of them, but they were basically doing transit, or they were doing OMPOC at the Capitol. The MPOs were also wandering around. They also had a session on scenario planning that I did not attend, but that's metro area has been doing a very intensive metro or scenario planning to look at transportation needs out till 2050, and this is part of the greenhouse gas legislation to meet the goals that are set when they reach these outer dates.
Okay, and nothing on the river crossing, I take it?
Nothing on river crossing.
Citizens Advisory Committee, Steve?
We met April 1st, and the minutes were submitted for your
They're in there.
reading. They're in there. I just have to say Alan's doing a really good job of informing the folks of where we are with moving forward and some of the other issues that we're dealing with. And the next meeting is May 13th.
Happy birthday. It's my birthday.
Oh.
Okay. Okay, I guess we're through with those. Now we go to General Manager.
Thank you. I would be remiss if I didn't start this off by recognizing and acknowledging Sue Dreyer, our Chief Operating Officer, who was at her last board meeting. As you all know, she's moving on to a great new opportunity in Tacoma, Washington, as the new CEO of Pierce Transit. And I'd just like to publicly acknowledge and thank her for her leadership efforts here at this district. We are in a better place because of what she's done over the last several years, and I'd like to wish her well on her new endeavor.
I'm sure you're going to do very well up there.
Thank you. I'm going to say a couple words.
Please do.
I'll try not to cry.
Oh, don't cry. Well, you can cry if you want.
I'm getting tired now. I'm getting tired.
Bertie, you can cry.
So, I don't know if you saw, but a transit operator just brought this in to me at the beginning of the meeting. And I thought it was kind of interesting. That was Barrett Olson. And, you know, we talk about transit, and it's really all about the people. I started driving bus with Barrett Olson in Eugene 25 years ago, I have to admit. And Barrett moved to no other place than Washington, the Puget Sound area, after we had worked together for maybe, I don't remember, 7 or 8 years. And when I came here, it was like, Barrett, hello, you're back. He had moved to the Puget Sound. I had bought this really cool bicycle from his wife, and then it didn't work out, and he came back to be near family and ended up driving bus here at Salem. But it just really reminds me of, you know, what a great industry that I've really been fortunate enough to be involved in for the last 25 years. And I'd like to say to the board, you have great people that work here at this transit district. You are poised for moving forward, 1 and 2, with extremely knowledgeable and great advocate for transit in Alan Pollack here. I think that you will go forward, and I'm so pleased that I was able to spend the last 5 years here. And I was able to really bring some things forward. There is a great operations crew here. Everything will be fine in the interim while there is a recruitment going for my position. There are, again, just lots of people with lots of potential here, and this community deserves a transit district that operates 7 days a week. So go board, and thanks for everything the last 5 years.
Thank you, Sue.
I do have a few other items to report. The plan is at next month to hold the presentation, but we did find out last week we, for the third year in a row, received the Government Finance Officers Association Certificate of Financial Excellence. So pretty proud of that, and we'll have someone here to present that next month.
Super.
Also today, actually yesterday, we celebrated Administrative Professionals Day and had a great turnout. All the staff came by and celebrated. We had good camaraderie, and Jerry was able to come by and said a few words to the folks, and had a good day yesterday. Topped by another good day today with Take Your Sons and Daughters to Work Day. We had about 10 or 12 children running around today and helping us out with decorations in the boardroom, with different activities. They all went and rode the bus to lunch. And so it was a good day to see those future transit workers getting themselves ready. And I would like to thank the members of the board who were able to attend the Oregon Transit Association's Transit Day at the Capitol. As the president of OTA, it was great to see well over 150 transit advocates running around the Capitol, spreading our message, and also that we had the opportunity of having the governor come and declare Stand Up for Transportation Day as part of those festivities. And with that, I'll conclude my report.
Thanks. Yeah, I was very impressed with the governor. She stuck around for 10 minutes or so, talking to just about everybody that was in the room, and she was she's a little bigger than that. But anyway, it was really nice to really see her up close and personal and see how she deals with, especially the handicapped people that were there, the disabled people that were there. And she even talked to us. I attended that, and we had the work session, of course, a couple weeks ago, and I attended 2 of the Moving Forward open houses, briefly anyway, and Chamber President's breakfast just yesterday, and I did attend the Administrative Professionals recognition, and that was really neat. The little room upstairs was just jam-packed with people, and there was good food there, but I'd already eaten breakfast, so I wasn't hungry. So anyway, how about John? You want to tell us about your month?
Sure. In addition to the board meeting and work session, I too attended one of the Moving Forward presentations out at the Center 50 Plus and the STF Advisory Committee meeting, and also related the CARTS Advisory Committee meeting out in Polk County, and also went to the North Lancaster Neighborhood Association meeting last month.
Okay. Steve.
Yeah, I was able to attend the candidates' introduction at the Keizer Chamber. It was long because there were 22 candidates from different fire districts and everything. I guess one of the candidates is in the audience tonight that was there, had an opportunity to speak. Yeah. And West Salem Business Association, work session. I was at the Capitol for 2 reasons. Got to speak to some legislators individually, which was handy. I talked to one of them about CARTS in Polk County and trying to get some support from the county folks on, yeah. But I'm looking forward to meeting with Paul Evans and his event coming up soon. And that was about it.
Okay, Bob.
Well, I did some of the same things, the Capitol, Transit Day at the Capitol. I attended several functions to promote the Moving Forward program. That included 3 neighborhood associations and 2 of the open houses. And I also, Ellen and I were on KMUZ radio to talk about Moving Forward. So a lot of those things, I put in about 26 plus hours this month on various committee activities and so forth.
Okay, Marcia.
Attended some of the same things, the work session, Transit Day at the Capitol. One of the things about the legislature in Oregon is it's fairly accessible to the population. And Governor Brown, before she was Secretary of State Brown, was Senator Brown. And so some of those folk who have been in the Capitol, especially the people with specialized transportation, are pretty well known. And she's always gracious with people. At which point I caught something in the minutes that just needs to be corrected. The governor did not invite all of the women who work for the state to her house. She invited all of the women around the legislature. It would be really hard to have a party for all of the women who work for the state.
The house is big, but not that big.
So anyway, and I did the Transit Day at the Capitol. I was asked to come to the Democrats' monthly meeting, and so I did a short meeting there because I had a neighborhood association right after that, but they were interested in finding out exactly how they could get on to the website and take the survey. I think they just wanted somebody in person to tell them that. I attended the SCAN Neighborhood Association meeting, the Fay Wright Neighborhood Association meeting, and the Sunny Slope Association meeting. Bob has taken care of the it's the South Gateway Neighborhood Association. Yes. But I have one more neighborhood association to go to and one neighborhood association that I haven't heard from back. So I have all of these, I have bits and pieces of 6 neighborhood associations. So, and my spiel has mainly been telling people about the survey and how to go online, or that you can get a regular copy of it, and then answering questions. And most people out there are really interested in the new service. I've run into people at every neighborhood association who've asked follow-up questions. And amazingly enough, I was in a legislative meeting today, and one of my fellow lobbyists said, "You're running again. You've been doing this for a long time. Is this, you know?" And so we got talking again, and he said, "You know, I see the people at the bus stop who needs transportation because they're going to one of their work sites." And he said, "It's just incredible that a city our size doesn't have transportation on the weekend because they need to have a life too." And so he lives in Salem, so I'm hoping that attitude will prevail when we go. So I think that's about all that I've done.
Okay, Brad.
Yeah, so my allergies have been awful this week. It's
Me
been
too.
pretty incredible. At the Gubser Neighborhood Association meeting, we had the transit candidates for Subdistrict 2 for Keizer there. And otherwise, I was in DC for a conference about health and transportation and some different ways to measure the health benefits of transportation, including mostly active transportation, which transit very much interacts with that. So it was an interesting conference.
So this month I actually did make it to the work session, so that was good. And also at our neighborhood association, I was able to take the list from the last meeting, tell everyone when the open houses were, and there were a lot of conversations about that. And I was telling Alan and Jerry that people are questioning the difference between the payroll tax and the employee tax and how does this work. And so I was explaining where they could look it up to see how it affected them as an individual choice and get that information. So hopefully people are going to the open houses, because that is one of the things I've been impressed with Salem Keizer Transit, that the amount of people that are coming and the amount of feedback for the public outreach.
Okay, thank you. We do have, 2 more going? 2 more open houses? Do you recall when they are?
Yes, next Wednesday here at Courthouse Square, Customer Service Lobby, 5 to 7 p.m., and next Thursday, 5 to 7 p.m. at the West Salem Roths.
So if you're interested in hearing all about what's happening in September and also the Moving Forward 2 plan that we're going to present to the voters probably in November, come out and see us. And you'll get a one-on-one introduction as to what it's all about. Anybody have anything else?
If you're a bicycle rider, the Monster Cookie Ride is this Sunday. It was started by a former board member, and I'll be at Champoy passing out food with my Kiwanis group.
One other thing.
Yes.
We're going to have Amtrak is going to bring an exhibition train
Yes.
down to Salem, and it will be parked in Waterfront Park from 10 till 4 on Saturday, May 16th. And it's open to the public, and there'll be other activities going on.
And that's Riverfront Park.
Riverfront Park. Did I say river?
You said waterfront. It's on the water.
I lived in Portland too many years.
Anyone else have anything? Okay, hearing nothing, meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much. All right.